There's a level of discipline that doesn't just change your life. It makes people uncomfortable being around you, and today, you'll discover exactly how to reach it. Have you ever met someone who operates on a completely different frequency? Someone who wakes up at the exact same time every single day, does the exact same routine, and never negotiates with themselves. While everyone else is hitting snooze, they're already training. While everyone else is making excuses about being tired, about needing a break, about deserving rest, they just execute. And you know what people say about them? That's not healthy, that's obsessive, that person has no balance. But what they're really saying is, your discipline makes me feel guilty about my weakness. There's an ancient Japanese concept that explains this level of discipline perfectly. It's called Shūgyō. Literally translated, it means austere training or the path of hardship voluntarily chosen. Buddhist monks in medieval Japan would practice Shūgyō by standing under freezing waterfalls for hours, walking barefoot through snow-covered mountains, and fasting for days while maintaining their meditation practice. Why? Not to punish themselves, but to build a mind that cannot be broken by discomfort. A mind that looks at suffering and sees only a teacher. Once you understand how Shūgyō works, you'll never be controlled by your feelings again. But there's a price. This level of discipline requires you to kill the part of yourself that seeks comfort, that negotiates, that bargains with reality. Before I show you exactly how this works, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and comment below what your current biggest weakness is when it comes to discipline. This genuinely helps the algorithm push this content to people who need it, and it shows me you're serious about transformation, not just entertainment. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Weak Man. The story I'm about to tell you is about someone you probably know. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's someone you see every day. His name was David, 37 years old, decent job, decent life, but nothing remarkable. David had a pattern that controlled his entire existence. Sunday night, he'd set goals for the week. Monday morning, he'd wake up motivated. Monday afternoon, first excuse appears. Monday night, complete surrender to comfort. By Wednesday, all promises forgotten. By Friday, he's already planning to start fresh next Monday. The cycle repeated every single week for 15 years. 15 years of the same pattern. He tried everything modern self-help offers. Habit tracking apps, accountability partners, reward systems, motivation videos before bed. Nothing worked. Not because the methods were bad, but because David didn't understand something fundamental. Discipline isn't about motivation. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need motivation. One day, David had a minor health scare. Nothing life-threatening, but enough to wake him up. His doctor said something that changed everything. Your body is declining not because of age, but because of inconsistency. You stress it with random exercise, then nothing for weeks. You eat healthy for 3 days, then junk for 10. Your body doesn't know what to expect, so it's in constant survival mode. David went home and started researching not motivation, not life hacks. He researched how elite performers build unbreakable consistency. That's when he discovered the Shūgyō principle, and more importantly, he discovered why he'd been failing for 15 years. Chapter 2. The Root of All Weakness. David learned something that destroyed his entire understanding of discipline. The problem wasn't his willpower. The problem was his relationship with discomfort. Every single day, his brain made thousands of micro-decisions designed to avoid discomfort. Stay in bed 5 more minutes. Skip the workout today. Eat the easy meal instead of the healthy one. Watch 1 more episode. Each decision seemed small, meaningless even, but together they built a neural pathway in his brain that said, when discomfort appears, we retreat. Shūgyō operates on the opposite principle. When discomfort appears, you move toward it, not because you enjoy suffering, but because you understand that the only way to build an unbreakable mind is to repeatedly prove to yourself that discomfort cannot stop you. David found a documentary about Tendai Buddhist monks who practice Shūgyō, a 1,000-day challenge where they walk up to 84 kilometers per day through mountain terrain. They do this for 7 years straight. If they fail or quit, they're expected to take their own life. That's the level of commitment. Now, David wasn't going to walk through mountains for 7 years, but the principle was clear. Real discipline comes from non-negotiable commitment, not goals you hope to achieve, not habits you'd like to build, commitments that carry consequences so severe that failure isn't an option. David made a decision that day. He would create his own Shūgyō, his own path of austere training, and he would make it public, irreversible, and severe enough that his brain understood failure was not acceptable. Chapter 3. The Public Death. This is where most people fail before they even start. They keep their commitments private. They make promises to themselves in the mirror, in their journal, in their mind, and when they fail, only they know. The shame is private. The consequence is minimal. Their brain learns that breaking promises is safe. David understood he needed to make failure painful, not physically but socially. He wrote a public declaration on every social media platform he had. I am committing to 90 days of unbroken discipline. Every single day at 5 a.m., I will train for 30 minutes. No excuses, no exceptions, no negotiations. If I miss even one day, I will donate $5,000 to a political organization I deeply oppose. His friends thought he was insane. His wife said he was being dramatic. His co-workers laughed. Perfect. Every single person who doubted him became fuel. Every morning when his alarm rang at 4:45 a.m. and his body screamed to stay in bed, he thought about having to post online that he failed, having to look his wife in the face and admit he couldn't do what he promised, having to donate $5,000 to people he fundamentally disagreed with. The thought of that humiliation was more painful than getting out of bed. This is the first principle of Shūgyō. Make the path of retreat more painful than the path of discipline. Day 1, pure adrenaline. Day 3, the first real war. His alarm rang. His body was sore from 2 days of training. His mind immediately started negotiating. You're pushing too hard. This isn't sustainable. You need rest or you'll injure yourself. But something had changed. The cost of quitting was now higher than the cost of continuing. Chapter 4. The Elimination Protocol. By day 14, David had maintained perfect consistency, but he noticed something terrifying. He was still fighting himself every single morning. The public commitment stopped him from quitting, but it didn't stop the internal battle. Every day required willpower. Every day was a war. Then he learned the second principle of Shūgyō, elimination. Tendai monks don't just practice discipline, they eliminate everything that creates decision fatigue. They wear the same clothes, they eat the same meals, they follow the same schedule. Why? Because every decision you make burns glucose in your brain. Every morning you waste energy deciding when to train, what to train, how long to train. You're depleting the very resource you need to actually train. David implemented total elimination. 5 a.m. Wake up. No snooze button, no negotiation. 5:10 a.m. training starts. Same location, same routine, same duration. Every single day. Same workout. 20 minutes of calisthenics. 10 minutes of stretching. Zero variation. His brain hated it at first. This is boring. You need variety to stay motivated. You should try different exercises to keep it interesting. But David understood something most people never learn. Variety is the enemy of consistency. Motivation is the enemy of discipline. Interesting is the enemy of automatic. By day 30, something happened that changed everything. He woke up at 4:58 a.m., 2 minutes before his alarm. His body had started preparing automatically. By day 45, he was putting on his training clothes before his conscious mind even fully engaged. The routine had begun to take care of itself. This is the goal of Shūgyō, not to use willpower forever, but to practice until willpower is no longer required. Chapter 5. The moment everything breaks. Day 62. David woke up with a fever. His body temperature was elevated. His throat was raw. Every muscle ached, not from training, but from illness. This is the moment where every previous attempt had failed. This is where the old pattern would kick in. You're sick. Your body needs rest. Missing one day won't matter. You'll start again when you're healthy. Reasonable thoughts, logical thoughts, deadly thoughts. David remembered something he'd read about the Tendai monks. During their 1,000-day challenge, they don't stop for illness, injury, or weather. There's a documented case of a monk who completed his daily walk with a fractured leg. Not because he was stupid, but because he understood something profound. The practice must continue without gap, because in that gap, your old identity returns. David made a decision. He would train, but he would adapt. Not 30 minutes, 10 minutes. Not intense calisthenics. Gentle movement, not pushing his limits. Maintaining the sequence. He did 10 minutes of light stretching. His body was weak, his mind was foggy, but the sequence remained unbroken. The next morning, still sick, he did it again 15 minutes this time. By day 65, he was healthy again, back to full intensity, but something had fundamentally changed. He had proven to himself that there was no condition under which the practice stops. No excuse his mind could produce that would end the sequence. This is when discipline becomes scary, when there are no exceptions. Chapter 6. When people start to notice. By day 70, people at David's workplace started commenting. You seem different, more focused. One coworker said something that revealed everything. Honestly, man, your consistency is kind of intimidating. David asked why. The coworker struggled to articulate it, then finally said, because you make me realize I have no excuses. That's the moment David understood what was really happening. His discipline wasn't just changing him, it was making other people confront their own weakness. His wife started making comments. You're becoming obsessed. You need balance. What she really meant was, your discipline makes me feel bad about my inconsistency. His friends stopped inviting him to last-minute plans because they knew he wouldn't break his routine. They started calling him rigid, extreme, no fun anymore, perfect. Every criticism was confirmation. When your discipline makes others uncomfortable, you're operating at the right level, because your existence proves that everything they call impossible is just uncomfortable. A neuroscientist at Duke University who has studied habit formation for 23 years explains this phenomenon. When someone in your social circle dramatically changes their behavior, it creates cognitive dissonance in others. They must either change themselves or discredit the change. Most choose to discredit because it's easier. This is why transformation is often lonely. David reached day 90, 90 consecutive days of unbroken practice. His public commitment was complete. He could stop now. The challenge was over. But something unexpected happened. He didn't want to stop. Chapter 7. The Identity Shift. On day 91, David woke up at 4:56 a.m. No alarm needed. His body knew. He began his routine automatically, and halfway through he realized something profound. He wasn't someone practicing discipline anymore. He was someone who couldn't be undisciplined. The practice had stopped being something he did. It had become who he was. This is the ultimate goal of Shūgyō, not to build discipline, but to eliminate the part of you that resists discipline. You don't need motivation to breathe. You don't need willpower to make your heart beat. Why? Because these functions are integrated into your identity. When discipline becomes as integrated as breathing, you've reached the level that scares people. David continued for another 90 days, then another. At day 365, he'd completed a full year of unbroken practice, but he'd also done something else. He'd eliminated 6 other weaknesses using the same protocol: sugar addiction, gone. Used the same public commitment system, procrastination at work, eliminated, same method. Reactivity in arguments with his wife, removed. Same process. Each time the pattern was identical: public declaration, fixed schedule, elimination of variables, practice without gap, identity shift. Chapter 8. The scariest part. A year and a half into his transformation, David's wife told him something that made him realize how far he'd come. She said, "Sometimes I look at you and I don't recognize the person I married." He asked if that was bad. She said, "No, it's just that the old you had weaknesses I could relate to. The new you doesn't seem to struggle with anything." And that's intimidating. This is the scariest level of discipline. Not when you're strong despite struggles, but when you've eliminated struggle entirely. People expect discipline to look like constant battle, gritted teeth, visible effort, strain. But real discipline looks like ease. It looks effortless because the internal resistance has been killed. There's no battle because there's no opponent. The part of you that wanted to quit doesn't exist anymore. David started mentoring others, teaching them the Shūgyō protocol. Most quit within 2 weeks. They wanted the results without the death, because that's what this requires: the death of your comfort-seeking self, the death of your negotiating mind, the death of the person who needs external validation to keep going. One guy asked David, "How do you stay motivated after all this time?" David's answer was perfect: "I don't stay motivated. Motivation is for beginners. I eliminated the part of me that needs motivation." This is the difference between discipline and Shūgyō. Discipline is forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. Shūgyō is becoming someone who doesn't have the option to not do them. Chapter 9. The Path Forward. So how do you reach this level? How do you build discipline so severe that it makes people uncomfortable? The protocol is simple but not easy. Step 1. Choose one practice, not 10 goals. 1. The practice must be daily, measurable, and non-negotiable. Step 2. Make it public. Post it everywhere. Attach severe consequences to failure. Make retreat more painful than persistence. Step 3. Eliminate all variables. Same time, same place, same routine. Kill variety. Kill motivation. Kill interesting. Step 4. Practice without gap. Sick days, travel days, bad days. None of these are reasons to stop. Adapt the intensity. Never break the sequence. Step 5. Continue until the practice takes care of itself. Until you wake up and begin without thought. Until discipline is no longer something you do, but someone you are. This isn't a 90-day challenge. This is permanent transformation. This is identity-level change. And yes, people will call you obsessive. They'll say you're extreme. They'll tell you that you need balance. Let them. Their discomfort is proof that you're operating at a level they can't comprehend. Shūgyō isn't about being better than others. It's about becoming unbreakable within yourself. It's about looking at discomfort and seeing opportunity. It's about killing the weak part of you that seeks easy. The Tendai monks practice their 1,000-day challenge, knowing that most who attempt it will fail, knowing that some will die trying. They do it anyway because they understand something most people never learn. A life lived at the edge of capability is the only life worth living. Everything else is just comfortable death. David is 40 years old now, 3 years into his transformation. He doesn't post about his discipline anymore. He doesn't need external validation. He doesn't track streaks or celebrate milestones. He just practices every single day, the same time, the same routine, without thought, without struggle, without negotiation. People look at him and they can't articulate what's different, but they feel it. There's something about him that's unsettling, not because he's aggressive or arrogant, but because he's eliminated something that exists in everyone else's weakness. The question isn't whether you can reach this level. You can. The human body and mind are capable of far more than you've ever demanded from them. The question is, are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to make failure more painful than success? Are you willing to eliminate comfort? Are you willing to practice without gap, even when every part of you wants to stop? Are you willing to become someone that makes others uncomfortable simply by existing? If you've watched until this point, you already know the answer. Subscribe to this channel. Like this video. And comment below with your public declaration. What practice will you commit to? What will your Shūgyō be? Make it public right now. Let everyone see it. Because the moment you make that declaration, the old you begins to die, and someone unbreakable begins to emerge. The scariest level of discipline isn't something you achieve. It's someone you become. And that transformation starts right now. See you in the next video.